I'm in Dapitan City in northwestern Mindanao at the Kinabayo Festival, an annual event which honors the patron saint of the city, St. James the Greater.
The word Kinabayo means mock riding on a horse, and we can see the star of the show and his mock horse. I think that looks pretty convincing, don't you?
Festivities like these are a legacy of the Philippines' Spanish colonial past, which lasted for over 3 centuries.
I really love being part of this. It was really festive, lots of bystanders. Atmosphere is electrifying.
The parade takes us through the city to its iconic church, named in honor of St. James, and a final performance to wow the gathered crowds. But no festival would be complete without one essential component: the food.
Oh, hello, Peter!
Local resident Apple Marie Agolong is hosting a celebratory feast at her home.
In honor of St. James the Greater, before our meal, we always chant, Viva Señor Santiago! Viva! Yes! Dig in, guys. This is actually the flavors in every fiesta.
I love how people are just streaming in and everyone's just enjoying and sharing. That's so delicious.
Oh, thank you.
Apple tells me how the Spanish belief in St. James was brought over to the Philippines and applied to conflict with another group closer to home. Its Muslim inhabitants, referred to by the Spanish as the Moros.
The Jesuits came here in Dapitan City and installed their parish. At that time, our forefathers needed a patron saint that could really protect our land. St. James was being asked to protect the Christians because during that time, they need to convert the Muslims, the Moors.
And how does the belief in him carry over to the present day?
That was before. Now, we call on St. James to protect everybody.
I love how he has evolved from being important in a political context to somebody who's a symbol of help and protection for everyone.
Yes. That's what we believe in.
I'm struck by how faith, culture, and history have shaped not just this city, but the entire country in different ways. Spanish expeditions to the Philippines in pursuit of new resources and territories first began in the 16th century. But the Spanish would meet way more resistance in the Sulu archipelago than they could have anticipated. Facing off against colonial incursions, how did the Sultanate fight back?
Go, situ.
I'm in Zamboanga City, just north of the Sulu archipelago, learning about an ancient martial arts form that could have been used by the Sultanate of Sulu to fend off its enemies.
Okay, I'm not going to try that one.
Kuntaw is thought to have been brought to the region through ancient trade routes with China and incorporates techniques from the Malay martial art of Silat.
Subukan tayo? Okay.
Grandmaster Salib Said has taught this combat form for 40 years and is giving me a crash course in self-defense.
That was throat attack.
Ito silat. Ito ganon. Pagkatapos, ilagay lang dito. Ayan. Maganda ba?
After Spanish colonial forces arrived in the 16th century, battles ensued between them and the Muslim sultanates of Maguindanao, Brunei, and Sulu. Practitioners of Kuntaw believe that it was used by defenders of the Sulu Sultanate as a form of resistance.
I love how it sort of looks like a dance, but it's actually all about attack and defense.
In Kuntaw ini, lam jalala, mag-atap iban sim pangadatan tausug pagmabuka. Kiawa na mo, takama na mo, Kastila, iban Hapon, iban Milikan, kal na amuyat tuwin hinang papupusin na kauna, in Kuntaw.
That was fascinating. What particularly strikes me is how time and time again, we see people use local methods to find ingenious ways to battle the enemy.
Kick. That was amazing. You're
right.
doing great, yeah.
Despite many clashes, the Spanish were unable to establish a sustained foothold in the south. But by the early 18th century, they had solidified their presence further north, with bases on the present-day islands of Luzon, Panay, and Cebu.
I'm in the walled city of Intramuros in Manila, the capital of the Philippines under Spanish colonial rule. Its imposing structures are testament to the far-reaching might of Spanish imperialistic enterprise. The Sultanate of Sulu was determined not to fall under Spanish subjugation, but some of its rulers attempted to negotiate peaceful relations with the Spanish. However, such efforts sometimes brought about mixed results.
In 1737, the Sulu Sultan Alimuddin comes to an agreement with the Spanish. He receives military aid from them to subdue rivaling factions, but in return is obliged to permit Spanish missionaries to preach in Jolo. Local Muslim chiefs and religious leaders fiercely object to their presence. With their support, the Sultan's brother, Datu Bantilan, rises in opposition to his rule. So, in 1749, the Sultan seeks refuge in Manila. He continues to nurture relations with the Spanish and eventually even requests to be baptized.
Alimuddin's intentions in converting to Christianity have been debated a great deal, with some arguing that he had done so as a political strategy. What we do know is that while he was in Manila, the Spanish were faced with increasing bouts of conflict under the new Sultan in Sulu, and so were motivated to reinstall Alimuddin as ruler.
How did sultans navigate diplomacy with their colonial adversaries? I've been granted exclusive access to the National Archives of the Philippines, headed by Victorino Manalo.
We have about 60 million records from the 16th century all the way to the 21st. Part of that is the Spanish collection. That's about 18 million records.
Fantastic.
Researcher Ariel Lopez has unearthed a key letter in the archives, which was written by Sultan Alimuddin while he was aligned with the Spanish, but whose contents reveal a covert message.
Wow, this is really incredible.
This is a letter from Sultan Alimuddin of Sulu in 1751 to the Sultan of Maguindanao. This letter in Malay, written in Jawi script, is accompanied by another letter in Spanish. But while the Spanish version was slightly more friendly about the Spanish, the Jawi version here reveals what the Sultan of Sulu really had in his heart. It says, "Jangan orang menyatakan apa-apa yang disuruh Kastila." Do not believe what the Spaniards is saying, no? And everything is just ordered by the Spaniards. This letter reveals he was acting under the duress of the Spanish.
So what did the Spanish do when they discovered this?
It was intercepted by the Spaniards and taken as a proof of betrayal of trust between Spain and Sulu.
For this betrayal, Alimuddin and his royal entourage were arrested in 1751 and only returned to Jolo 13 years later. But he was not the only ruler who tried to work with the Spanish over the years. Others sought to establish treaties with them for mutual economic gain.
The study of treaties and letters like this show us the individual agency of sultans, and they are acting on their own political interests on the conditions that they see at the time.
It's easy to think of history just in terms of the big events like battles and victories, but actually the reality was far more complex.
Yes.